So what do we do first? Well, step one is collating the information. I've got some questions for Ian a bit later who will give us more insight into this. But one of the key things that we found and that we've picked up over the years is it's definitely worth talking to your client teams and asking them to put forward, the top 5 campaigns they've created. That then gives you the opportunity to kind of evaluate the work, be able to benchmark it against each other, look at previous wins and see where your work stacks up amongst those category works. Step 2 then becomes choosing the categories. So this is more a case of actually these are the bits of work we've got from our organization. Okay, which category do they go into? And I think a lot of people worry that if they've entered one piece of work into a category, they can't enter it into another. Well, that's simply not true, because you can have a campaign that fits across 2 categories. The key is to remember that you need to tailor the submission to each category. So, you could have a best comm strategy, and the focal point of that comm strategy could well have been a social media strategy, which would then make it relevant for, say, best social media strategy. But you've got to make sure you tailor it for each one and that you fit the eligibility period. And then step 3 is writing your entries. To do this, actually, this year, this is a shameful plug for us. We've actually created a new handbook. I can send you all this afterwards. You click through to this and it's a handbook which gives you a step-by-step guide, explains all of the criteria you need for each of the categories, the information you require, and how it works. And I suppose one of the key things on writing entries is always, as a former journalist, you're always taught the key things. You find some marketing people love to add in an extra couple of lines. Similarly, when you were doing school essays, where it was like you got a 1,000-word limit and people feel they've got to fill a 1,000-word limit. That's not necessarily the case. You always got to think about the what, the why, the where, the when, and the how, right? When you're a journalist, you're taught to have basically the crux of the story in the headline or within the first 25 to 30 words in that first paragraph. That's where you capture your audience. So, make sure you've got those key things in your head when you're writing your entry. And just simple things like, you'll be surprised the amount of people that want to use acronyms that other people don't know, or want to hyperbole something up and go over the top with a bunch of superlatives. You don't need to. The judges are looking at a whole bunch of case studies and they want everything that's simple, explained, almost as if they've come down from space and they've never seen media before, but they read this submission and they get the campaign. That's the key. And then the other big tip from us is, and this happens a lot, lots of people will write their entries, they'll have these amazing objectives, get down to the results, and the results are absolutely fantastic, but they had absolutely zero to do with the objectives. There's nothing that winds a judge up more than that. I can tell you that from around the world, from all of the different juries we've been in. So
we knew the campaign was special as soon as it launched. So the concept of the silencing of the iconic Doritos Crunch was quite unique. It tapped into a cultural truth for gamers. It was a really bold idea that addressed that real tension in the gaming culture. And it was really kind of iconic within that gameplay audience. So when it started to take off across Twitch, TikTok, press, and then forums within that, and people were debating whether the tech was real, we saw that the idea was really resonating. And I think because it was a blend of innovation, humor, and then lots of earned media traction, kind of gave it its real potential. And particularly within the PepsiCo market, we run on create and deploy markets. So the UK being that create market for Doritos across Europe. So we're kind of always looking for broader international awards to set up for the brand. So pretty much as soon as we saw it win a Cannes Award, we realized that the campaign was really resonating and it would resonate with the international judges too. So something that isn't just a simple copy from another market campaign kind of really gave it its uniqueness and kind of set that standard for the gaming industry. I think it was hugely validating. I think everyone works so hard behind the scenes, and obviously it's not just me that worked on it. There's a big team behind the scenes, and I think it was a huge win for everyone. I think it really kind of boosted morale and affirmed the value of your creative instincts and collaboration with internal teams, and also working with cross-agency partners and clients, which we all know can be challenging at times, but it took a lot of work it took a lot of versions as well to get to a final plan. So sometimes it can feel disheartening when you're on like version 12 of a media plan and you're going through loads of different calls. But I think having that award makes it feel all worth it. And now that, as I said, the campaign's being used for future benchmarks across all of PepsiCo. So within our creative ladder, this is at the top of how we can kind of push those boundaries. So there's now a desire from all of us to kind of create similar creative on the Doritos campaigns and other Pepsi work. But it was also part of our annual planning, which we distilled the elements which we feel made this campaign successful. And now we're building principles off the back of that to help guide future campaigns as well. But I think award just, even if you personally think that the campaign has obviously delivered great results and you think it looked really good, which sometimes you can be biased when you're working on a client, but this just like hugely validates it. And so much noise across the agency and like PR off the back of it to get this award. So yeah, we were all really excited and the clients were overwhelmed. So yeah, really, really great.
You touched on it actually at the top of the session. We have an internal awards show, as I know a lot of the agencies do actually, where we invite teams to submit a simple form to tell us what they've done, and then that's sort of vetted by senior people here or judged by senior people here. That enables us to go back to them with feedback, ask questions, help try and sort of understand these cases a bit better. And then the ones that look like they've got real potential, we sort of work with those teams to help sort of shape those stories or sort of craft those stories, or sort of plug gaps sometimes if there's things missing that we need to uncover. And you mentioned a really important point. A lot of the time it's to do with matching objectives to results. Sometimes, you know, we see things that sound really interesting, they've got an innovative media idea, but then the results don't seem to really have solved the challenge that we introduced at the very beginning. So things like that, the competition enables us to get sight of stuff early and then work with teams to try and unravel the story a little bit and find the results that are needed to sort of match the objective we've been told that they set out to solve. I think again, there's another point you did mention at the top, and really for us it's about sort of prestige and accolades, and really that's to help new business. You know, to be honest, these are good proof points that the new business team use in pitches to show that our work is regarded by our industry peers as among the best, and that is quite an important proof point for us. Also as well for the clients themselves, it's nice to take that client on that journey and you know, show that we can, you know, that we're winning for them. It's their success really. But our new business team use those points certainly, and in terms of the sort of shows that we use, you know, there are lots and lots, hundreds and hundreds of different shows you can enter, but we obviously look for the shows that have that sort of prestige in our industry, and they're going to be the ones like the Festival Media shows, M&Ms, and the associated Festival Media ones. They're the originals, sort of pure play media competitions, so they have that credibility. And it's supported by the fact that they are recognised, as you mentioned, in different methodologies for league tables, walk, and so forth. So we look at those competitions that do score, or you know, or are recognised by those industries as well, those organisations as well, which is why we you know say, look, this is an important competition for us, and so the other festival media ones, because they help us in those with that broader goal, that long-term goal of raising the agency's profile for new business. Well, the things we mentioned really, you know, we will go again this year looking for a case that has an innovative idea, a clear sort of challenge for the client, and an innovative idea that solved that, and then we need results at the end of it, something that showed the media impact. This media idea worked, it travelled, but then we have we changed the behaviour at the end of it to either sell more, whatever the challenge may have been.